Hello and welcome to the Cricketers Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Tim Williams. We're here to take a look at the world of cricket with the World Test Championship final just 2 weeks away, the Indian Premier League final just a week off, and the Pakistan Super League final decided in dramatic circumstances. Here to talk through it with me, as always, Cricket Australia commentator Max Bryden. Maxie, how are you, mate?
G'day, Timo, mate. I'm doing very well. It's not often you get to the start of winter next week and you get so much amazing cricket on your doorstep, but it's here. We had the PSL final, IPL finals coming up, as you said, and, mate, the big one, the World Test Championship. So much to talk through today, mate, so I can't wait to get stuck in.
Yeah, it really does make you appreciate, especially as Aussies, being in the World Test Championship final. And that's not me trying to rub it into other nations that may or may not be listening in, probably not, but just having such a big test match in the middle of the year, obviously outside the Aussie summer, is absolutely phenomenal, and obviously played at Lords makes it even better. Also with me today, the man with the best stats in sport, Random Stats Guy, celebrated his 21st birthday on the weekend. Rando,
I fucking hate anything to do with my birthday. But it was that, 21, again, for the 7th consecutive year. Very exciting. But
not a bad problem to have.
Not a bad problem to have. I love it. I love this time of the year. 1, it's my birthday. 2, it's the start of Origin. 3, now, we've got the World Test Championship in place. So it's all coming together. Very excited for the upcoming finals.
Not a big birthday guy, mate?
Terribly, no. I hate it.
Why not?
I just don't like the whole...
He loves to give. He just doesn't want the focus on him.
You know me, I'm the most humblest guy, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I just don't like too much. Maddie, I heard that.
Truly humble. He's 6'9".
Humble,
Like,
yeah,
this
6'9", 10,
what
Greek.
a man.
But yeah, no, I hate him. Hate birthdays.
There you go. For anyone listening in here that tunes into our Rugby League podcast as well at SC Playbook, the Supercoach Spy has birthday month. Just celebrates it for as long as he possibly can. So good on you for not even having a day to yourself, mate. You're just a tireless worker. Guys, on today's show, we'll be going through that World Test Championship squad for the Australians. Cam Green, he's all but secured a spot for himself, a third English county century of the season. What does that final 11 look like, and how do the players in contention stack up on English soil? International angle this week. Virat Kohli retires from Test cricket. Undoubtedly one of the greats. We're going to have a look at the impact he's left on Test cricket and for India, of course, and how his final few years stack up against other greats of the game, such as Ponting and Tendulkar. The IPL recap this week, Heinrich Klaassen, he went ballistic with one of the quickest tons of all time. Noor Ahmed, he lived up to his hype this season as the tournament's top wicketkeeper. And RCB, they're closing in on their first IPL title. Also, the PSL final up over in Pakistan. Sikandar Raza travelling from England to Zimbabwe. The test match there to Pakistan for the final a day later and belting the match-winning runs. Absolutely outstanding there. But boys, let's start with the World Test Championship final coming up on June 11. The squad for the Australians: Cummins, Bolland, Carey, Green, Hazelwood, Head, Inglis, Khawaja, Konstas, Kuhnemann, Labuschagne, Lyon, Smith, Stark and Webster. Maxie, I'll throw to you here, mate, but the contentious positions here, we're looking at the openers, we're looking at the third quick for the Australians, Cam Green in county during the week. Playing second division for Gloucestershire, his third ton of the season, scores of 112, 128 and 118. He scored 442 runs at an average of 73.67, absolutely firing. And, mate, he needed to secure that spot in for the World Test Championship final.
Yeah, he needed to, but I think that it doesn't take much for the selectors to want to chuck him straight back in there, because he has been, for at least probably the last 2 years and even before that, once he joined the team, the chosen one of this next generation of Aussie cricketers, and they think he's a match winner. He is a match winner. And I think what's most interesting about him is, and I wanted to kind of look through this squad through two sort of lenses. One's forms and one is injury. He is only playing at the moment as a bat. He's still not over that back injury, which ruled him out of last summer. So he's not bowled. He's not a bowler at the moment. So we can't pick him as the all-rounder, but his form at the moment is irresistible. And they have to pick him as a bat in that Aussie side.
Yeah, that's it. And like, we're I'm glad as an Aussie that we don't have to have this deliberation and this contentious over the position, because being picked only as a bat, coming back from injury, I was very sceptical. And as you said, he's like the chosen one of Australian cricket in the next gen. Obviously been around for a while now, but I really wanted to see runs. I was intrigued to see if they were going to pick him if he didn't start scoring these runs in English conditions, but it's a headache that we don't have anymore. So he'll go in there Where do you see him batting, mate? As I said, it is contentious around the opening batsman spot. Marnus Labuschagne, he has struggled in county cricket this season. Rando, you've got a few stats around Marnus for us. Scores around how he's performed so far this season. I'm putting you under the pump.
Yeah, you are. You absolutely are. Because he wasn't under my original one. He obviously started the season poorly, a couple of 20s, couldn't really get off the ground there. But yeah, as I said, you've absolutely put me under the pump from the get-go.
I have put you
and just absolutely, not even in the run sheet. I'm just trying to work it out. Detailed run sheet. We sat here, everyone's, and then out of nowhere.
I knew you'd looked around county. I knew you'd looked around county cricket, and we're going to get to the Australians right from county cricket very shortly. I started to segue across to the opening batsman spot. I'm like, well, we're going to talk about Marnus. So I know Rando's been there.
0-4-23, 3 scores in his 3 innings to start for Glamorgan. So hasn't been too classy. And worst case is Div 2, not Div 1 either.
Yeah. Not ideal going into it. So how do you see it, Maxie? Who opens the bat for us? Is it Cam Green? Where does he slot in? Is Marnus locked? What are you thinking?
Well, if we look at the contentious spots in his side at the moment, right, the first one is in the bowlers when it comes to Josh Hazlewood versus Scott Boland. Boland, we know what he did last summer when Hazlewood went down injured, but realistically, Josh Hazlewood, as good as Scott Boland is, he's better. So I think he comes straight back in. But even having said that, he at the moment has missed some time in the IPL for his franchise RCB with a shoulder injury. And for that reason, we do need to carry an all-rounder. The all-rounder's not going to be Cam Green. So I think Bo Webster will have to keep that number 6 spot. And his seam bowling in English conditions, I think, is going to suit really well over there. So there it comes back to Cam Green, who he is, as a bat only. And you must remember that the last time he was in this Aussie team as a batter only, he was really at that number 4 position where he had that whole palaver of Steve Smith moving up to open the batting that lasted all of about 4 innings. Went terribly, just quietly as well, outside of one second innings against the West Indies where he almost won us the match. So if you've got Steve Smith locked in that number 3 spot, then Cam Green fitting in that middle order somewhere. Well, he's not going to be number 5 because that's Travis Head. He's not going to be number 6, that's Bo Webster. Number 7 is going to be Alex Carey. So there's really only the spot at the top of the order. Now, one of our opening batters is going to be Usman Khawaja. So then it really comes down to trying to fit all of Konstas, Marnus, and Green into 2 spots at the top of the order. As it stands at the moment, and look, I love to listen to a lot of cricket media, and where there's smoke, there's fire in these conversations. Right now, we are talking about essentially a bat-off between Sam Konstas and Marnus Labuschagne for who is going to open the batting for Australia in the World Test Championship final. And I've got some big feelings about this one, as you can probably guess, but this test match is like nothing that we're used to because this one is for all the marbles. There isn't a series for you to think about your form and work into it and think about your matchups and all that kind of stuff. This is one game, winner takes all, versus a really good side in South Africa with a really solid attack. And it looks like Marnus is going to have to potentially open the batting if he wants to fit into this Australian side.
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking, isn't it?
It is.
Because, Konstas with his lack of experience and the flamboyant way he plays, when you're going over there, it's one thing to move a player up the order, let alone doing it in a new position against a swinging Dukes ball over in the UK, different conditions. It's clearly a weak spot for the Australians and one where we're just hoping that whoever it is can punt, can see off that ball, that can sit there for 20 or 30 runs. Like, I don't think we're expecting to go out there and hit a half century or a ton. It'd be lovely. It's just spend some time and occupy the crease for a while.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I think that there's a few points, right, that I want to raise around this. So one, Marnus's Test career batting average of 46 is good, right? He's going to go down as one of a really, really solid Test player for Australia. He's still only 30 years of age. I think he turns 31 just after this match. So he's still young, right? He's meant to be the guy shepherding this generational change in the side. He was also the second fastest guy in Test cricket history to 3,000 Test runs. So he has had some periods in his career where he has been absolutely excellent, right? But with him, it's what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
And when you sit here and you think about Marnus Labuschagne, and if I asked you how you would get him out, you've probably got an answer. Like, you're probably going to hang the ball out on a 5th stump line and hope that he edges one to the slips, which more often than not, the way that he's been squaring up to fast bowlers is going to happen. By contrast, when you think about Konstas, most people will think about the flash, the ramps, this unorthodox method for Test cricket that we saw him take down Bumrah and the Indian bowling attack, right? And if you unpack that a little bit further, what that screams to me was adaptability. He was a guy coming in to do probably the hardest job in Test cricket, which was open the bowling against Jasprit Bumrah, where, 5 out of 6 deliveries have got your name on it, and he's attacking the stumps, and he was knocking over quality batsmen regularly throughout that Test series, right? Konstas looked at that as a problem, and he looked at it as a problem that he could solve through taking a different approach than any other Australian batter. And when you look at opening batting in England, that's probably the second hardest job to opening the bowling against Jasper Bauer in world cricket, right? So as you said, we're not expecting people to come in here and bash big tons, right? We're talking about a guy who at 19 years of age was able to come into Test cricket and problem solve at an elite level and have effectiveness. And when you talk about the pressure cooker situation of a one Test series, do you want a guy in there who's got noted technical issues that quality fast bowler is going to work out, or do you want a problem solver? And for me, I want the problem solver.
Sam Konstas in the back end of the Shield season, like you talk about Sam Konstas. You know, he had that 60 quick fire 60 odd on Boxing Day against Boomer in the Indians, which was unbelievable. After that, there were a few 20s, 30s scattered in there. Like, he was okay. He didn't come out and hit a bunch of 50s or a century or any of that. So it's not like it was flamboyant, it was exciting, but he hasn't set the world alight. You know, he's got the world talking, absolutely, but runs-wise was okay. Shield season, he came out, he had a ton against Queensland with 116 in early February. Then he had scores of 17, 10, 18, 56, 68 and 5. So, again, nothing mesmerising. Really fascinating to see how that ends up with Sam Konstas Labuschagne. I'm with you, mate. I think they'll go for experience. He's also, we've seen him get runs in the UK. I think they'll go with experience for this one-off test. And Sam Konstas, we'll see him get some time, hopefully, over in the West Indies. But it is a big contentious decision to play. Rando, having a look over at that county wrap from the UK. In county cricket, the Aussies, what have you found for us? How have they been going?
Been plenty of good stuff. Matthew Kuhneman, he started his county campaign taking 6 for 53 in the second innings of his first match for Glamorgan against Middlesex, playing for the same team, of course, as Marnus Labuschagne. Bo Webster, he scored 85 in his first innings of the season at the start of May. He's taken 10 wickets in his last 5 innings, headlined by a 4 for 57 last week against Hampshire. So he's been cruising along. Another bloke who I thought was very unlucky not to make the Australian squad, and it could be curtains on his international career. Marcus Harris, he's the leading run scorer in County Div 2 at the moment. 825 runs at an average of 63. He's hit 3 tons. He's hit 350s. Similar reign as Cam Green at the moment, but doing it more consistently. So that's an interesting watch there. Cam Bancroft, he's unfortunately been struggling recently. He's averaging 40, but before the team was announced, his previous 7 innings, he had only one score over 30. He hit back-to-back 60s post-team announcement, but that's a little bit too late for him. As you go down the list, Curtis Patterson, he's playing Div 1 for Surrey. His first 3 innings, 85, 51 and 40. So he's had a solid start. You've got Fergus O'Neill. He has taken 21 wickets at an average of 17.95. It's the third best of any player in Div 1 to play multiple games. So that's going well. Nathan McAndrew also started his county season recently. 8 wickets in his first 2 matches, including 4 for 71 in his first innings. And then you got Caleb Jewell, right behind Marcus Harris in terms of run scoring in Div 2. He had 232 off 361 for Derbyshire in a recent innings. So plenty of good stuff happening for the Australians overseas, but obviously nothing happening for Marnus. That's why he missed the list completely. I didn't even know he was playing over there. His scores were so low. But to be fair, it was actually matched up, a great matchup. Dane Patterson, he's going to be the quick for South Africa. He was playing in that game against Labuschagne. Probably didn't have enough overs to bowl to Labuschagne because he got out so quickly. But that was an interesting contest. And the shame with Labuschagne was that he wasn't able to get another innings in because they enforced the follow-on. So that's a bit of a bummer for Marnus. But yeah, those are the Aussies overseas doing us proud.
Very well done, mate. Good recap there. And yeah, Marnus, he'll have to get it done in the nets, won't he? Boys, Caleb Jewell, he's only 28 in the runs in the UK. Who knows?
Is he on the radar, Maxie?
Oh, he absolutely is, yeah. I mean, I think when I think of Caleb Jewell, there's 2 things that come to mind. Like, one, he's a Tasmanian native, so he's one of their rare products who came through on the Apple Isle into the domestic scene. 2, he dominated the grade, the second 11 competition dramatically for a number of years before earning his opportunity to come to first class level, and the skill that he showed at the level just below was exceptional. He has been in and around the Australia A side for the last couple of seasons. He had a bit of a down summer on our own shores, I'm sure by his own admission, but he is a serious cricketer, and he's the type of guy that when he gets going, he is hard to get out. He's aggressive. He scores quickly. I put him sort of in that mould of Jake Weatherald, where he's really, really not that far away from an opportunity for Australia if he can keep that form up.
Yeah, well, if you're trying to get the selectors' attention, a double ton in the UK is going to do it pretty well. Guys, we'll have our full World Test Championship final preview coming up next week. We'll also have a look into that South African squad and the likely opposition that we'll face over at Lords. Onto the IPL, fellas, and a couple of notable performances there. Heinrich Klaassen, the South African, speaking of, the third quickest IPL ton in history, 37-ball century for the Sunrisers against the Knight Riders. And one of the talking points of the season, 20-year-old Afghani Noor Ahmed, the top wicket-taker of the season with 24, one ahead of Krishna, then a bit of a gap to Trent Boult and Aussie Josh Hazlewood. Unbelievable from him. He had an average of 17 this season and an economy rate of 8.16. Maxi, what I want to talk about, though, is the, as you've put it, the Melbourne Stars of the IPL. The Royal Challengers don't have an IPL title to their name. They're the glamour team of the competition. They always have big names in it. Could this be their year?
Yeah, I think that this is a year that they could go as close as they've ever been. 18 years of the IPL. They've lost in 3 finals, no titles. I think I describe this in the green room as they're a team who skip leg day. And what I mean by that is that they are all buys, tries and chest. But when it comes to T20 cricket, like, you can have great batters, you can have all the glamour in the world and look good, but bowlers are what win tournaments, and that's been the department where they've struggled. They've really prioritised scoring runs over bowlers. This year, a little bit different, and a big reason for that change has been the injection of Josh Hazlewood into that side. So they've got a much more balanced team this year. They've got Tim David over there as well, who's helping finish innings. They've got a really, really good team. So I'm secretly hoping RCB, this could be the year that they get it done. I think it would be a really good fairy tale, particularly off the back of this retirement news from Virat Kohli from Test cricket that was announced recently. So I'll be hoping to cheer home the challenges for the rest of the season.
Yeah, good to see. And you mentioned Timmy David amongst that as well. Last 2 innings, a 1 and then a 2 not out, but he had a 19 not out, a 23, the finisher of Australian whiteboard cricket at the moment. So it'd be great to see him get it done over there alongside, as you said, Virat Kohli, which segues us nicely into that international angle this week. Virat Kohli has retired from Test cricket with an average of 46.85, 9,230 runs, 30 centuries to his name, 31 half centuries. Maxi, what impact does Virat Kohli leave on Test cricket?
Mate, in impacts that I think is truly immeasurable. There are very few players who can really stand up and say that they are the face of a generation. And he has been that for Indian cricket for a number of years. I don't think cricket fans will ever forget the Big Four, the contest that he had with Steve Smith, Joe Root, and Kane Williamson for the most centuries, the most runs throughout their glorious careers. I think the thing that's probably the most underrated aspect of Virat, though, has been his passion for maintaining Test cricket in India. Now, as big as the IPL has gotten, it is consistently threatened to overtake Test cricket, to remove windows from the calendar where Test cricket has been played by nations. It would have been so easy for India, with the sheer amount of money that they're able to generate through the IPL, to say, like, we don't need to go play these random bilateral series against any other country. We're only ever going to play against Australia and England. And even so, like, the standards by which the Indian Test cricket could have seriously deteriorated as they just prioritise the format which makes the most money. But Virat has consistently stood up as the face and the voice of Indian cricket to say, no, this stuff matters and tradition matters, and has fought for Test cricket to still maintain its place within the pyramid of Indian cricket, which I don't think a lot of people realise and naturally connect with him. They think about the antics on field. They think about the runs, right? But like, his legacy is going to go far beyond the field. And I just want to say thanks, because the battles that Australia have had with him and with the Indian team have really made Test cricket fun. Let's face it, England haven't given us a game for a while, particularly on our own shores. But up until the recent BGT, the Indian side had won the last 2 series out here under his stewardship. So he's an absolute legend of the game. I've loved watching him. I've loved hating him. But most of all, I love him. So, thanks, Virat.
Well, fortunately, mate, he's a big fan of the Cricketers Playbook podcast, so he'll be in the comment section, I'm sure, saying thank you back after that. But you're spot on, Maxie. To me, it's the impact on Test cricket, like off the field. It's not the runs on the field. It's not like the games he's given us. It's just in a period over the last 10 to 12 to 13 sort of years where there's always been a question mark around the impact of T20 and, is the interest still there in Test cricket? And it is alive and well in Australia, but he's played a big part in it, not only in Australia, but over in England and across the world, because he has been the villain. And he has these on-field antics, and every time, even in series where Australia have been a little bit dominant in different times, like it was a fantastic Border Gavaskar series we just had in the most recent summer. Australia, when you put each performance down, were relatively dominant, but just the way the battles were fought on field, as a large part because of Virat Kohli and what he brought to the game and the character, it just had fans absolutely captivated. So without him, Test cricket looks very different right now. You mentioned India, but across the world, in Australia, in South Africa, in England as well. So such a special part in the game we've had. I'm very lucky to have him. Rando, you've got a few accolades, a few stats for us around Virat Kohli's career.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's more, you can talk the talk, but you got to walk the walk and produce results. And I think him as a leader will go down as one of the greatest Test captains of all time. You look at him from an Indian standpoint, he captained 68 Test matches for India, most of any Indian cricketer. 59% win record, making him the most successful Test captain in India's history. What he's done with the bat as captain, he hasn't felt the pressure of a nation of 1 billion of a population just supporting you. He has been able to stand tall. He came down to Australia in that 2014-15 Border Gavaskar Trophy. That was his first Test series as a captain. Scored twin centuries on debut as Test captain. The only Indian cricketer to do that. Not only that, he went on and scored 4 centuries, which is the second most in a series in history, in any series whatsoever. And I think those were only 4 Test series back then before we've moved to potentially 5. So absolutely unbelievable haul there. He scored 254 against South Africa in 2019, which is the highest score by an Indian Test captain. He scored 20 centuries as Test captain as well. Only Graham Smith has scored more Test centuries as skipper too. So quite phenomenal. His record, 9,000 plus Test runs, 4th all time in the Indian circles for batting. So hats off to Virat. He has had a sensational Test career and should be very proud of what he's done, not only for his country, but as you mentioned, Timmy, for Test cricket, reviving it, being a part of that revival. Yeah,
one of the absolute greats, of course, mate. And Rando, I asked you before the show to have a bit of a look. It's always fascinated me around a player's average and some of the greats of our game, Ponting, Tendulkar, Kohli, how it's natural. Father Times when it catches up, the eye starts to go in cricket. And over the last 2 years of their career, the average regresses. Not with everyone. AB de Villiers, we know that he went out basically on the top, but he was arguably getting better with every ball that he faced. You've got some stats around players in their final 2 years, a few of the greats of the game, just for comparison.
Absolutely. And you told me that we're going to rise Kohli up, and then you just wanted a stat to tear him down. So this is what this sort of is. Obviously, the last 2 seasons haven't been too great for Virat Kohli. This decade, in fact, has been pretty horrific. He's averaging 27.7 runs with 3 tons in 69 innings. So it hasn't been a great finish, not the one that he would have wanted. Obviously, 2023 had a really good season, kind of revived that a little bit. But since then, it has been a bit of a slow watch and a poor watch because you love to see Virat succeed at the top end.
But he's not alone.
Not alone at all. So obviously his career average, 46.85. His career average in the last 2 seasons, 24 one-ton there. Punter, he followed a similar fate. He averaged 51.85, 41 tons. We all remember how good he was. But in his last 2 seasons, similar innings, he averaged just 37 with 2 tons. You look at Yunus Khan as well, the great Pakistani Test cricketer, 52.1 average, 34 tons. But in his last 2 seasons, that dropped down to 36. There's been very few players who have been able to keep a consistent one. One of them, as you mentioned, AB de Villiers. Talk about aging like fine wine. 61 average in his last 19 innings. His previous test average was 50.6. No wonder no one wanted him to retire. And then Kumar Sangakkara, the great Sri Lankan wicketkeeper, he still averaged 52 in his last 24 innings, including 3 tons there to go with his 57 average. So all basically, besides AB de Villiers, who is an absolute diamond here, all of them do regress, some more than others, and that's what we've seen with like the greats with Kohli and Punter. So he's not alone, as you mentioned. Father time, your eyesight starts to go out. You see them as beach balls, but now you're starting to slowly see them as golf balls, and that's probably when you need to retire. I found that out when I was 8, but others find it out when they're 30 odd.
Mate, some of these like marbles by the end of the career. What they did have in common, Kohli, Ponting, Tendulkar, in those final 2 years where, there were calls for retirement, they all produced a late memorable century, thankfully to sort of cap off their career. And Kohli had it on Australian soil, which was even cooler for Australians to be able to witness that. And on this show, we're not here to provide the biggest, deepest cricketing analysis of all time. We're here to get a snapshot of things and provide a bit of pub ammo, Maxi. And that's the kind of stuff where you sit there at the pub and you bring up cricket info and you go through the averages and you go, Kohli 46. The final 2 years of their career when Father Time had caught up, not necessarily entirely reflective of their entire career. So, because a lot of the greats did regress in those final 2 seasons. Boys, I just want to quickly touch on the Pakistan Super League final. The Kalandars there beating the Gladiators by 6 wickets. Hectic final, running down a total of 201 with a ball to spare. Kulsal Pereira, he was the hero with 62 not out off 31 deliveries. But Sikandar Raza, he was the story. 22 not out off 7 balls, hit the winning runs and took a wicket in that one. Most importantly, this one is from Cricinfo. He bowled 25 overs in the test match the day before between Zimbabwe and England. He batted for 20 overs as well. He had dinner in Birmingham, breakfast in Dubai, drove to Abu Dhabi for lunch, took a flight and had dinner in Pakistan. I guess this is the life of a professional cricketer, and I'm truly humbled and blessed to have that life. So basically in the space of 24 hours, he's gone from the UK to Pakistan and starred in both. So phenomenal from Raza in that one. Boys, part 2 of this show where we scan through the best results from World Cricket to come up with the team of the week, then give our 3-2-1 votes, going towards the race to the Mace. That's been going since about October last year. That wraps up after the World Test Championship final. We will crown the winning nation there. Boys, we need a couple of openers, 4 middle order bats, a wicket keeper and 4 bowlers. Maxi, I'll start with you, mate. Opening bats.
Yeah, so I'm covering the PSL and the England versus Zimbabwe series. And my openers, I've got 3 from that England versus Zimbabwe test. First, Zach Crawley, 124. Ben Duckett, his partner, 140. Zimbabwe got them on a good day. And then Brian Bennett from Zimbabwe scored 139 off 143 to get one back for the Zimbabweans in their first innings as well.
Yeah, thankfully got one back on them with a ton there. Rando, what did you find, mate? I should have said as well, looking this week, of course, at the IPL, the PSL, and little slither of county cricket, but they're the big ones, along with England, Zimbabwe Test match, West Indies and Ireland, the 3 ODIs there. And of course, we always give more weighting to the internationals when voting on our team of the week. Rando?
For me, I was looking at the IPL, some great stuff from the openers. We had Mitch Marsh, a local hero, 117 off 64 for Lucknow against Gujarat. KL Rahul, 112 not out, Delhi v Gujarat. But the 2 ones here that I really want to speak out of is because in that Capitals-Titans game, Capitals scoring 199 for 3, the Titans unfazed, 205 for none, and these 2 players just took it on their own. Sai Sudhasan, 108 off 61 balls, and Shubman Gill, the skipper, 93 off 53. Chased that down with 1 over to spare. So quite remarkable stuff from the openers.
One of the great chases of all time. That is unbelievable. And not the end of our runs for this week. We're a bit light on bowlers, but we were not short on batting performances. Our openers this week, Brian Bennett and Ben Duckett, the internationals. Our middle order bats, Maxi, what have you found?
Got Hassan Nawaz over in the PSL, got 100 not out off 45 deliveries. Riley Rousseau as well in the same tournament, 104 off 41 for the Quetta Gladiators. Couldn't step away from that man, Sikandar Raza, the Zimbabwean, in that final. The numbers, but the yarn, that's what I liked about this. It was 22 not out off 7 and 1 for 43 from his 4 overs. An all-round performance helping get his team across the line. And the final guy, and the best of the lot, Ollie Pope, 171 off 166 deliveries for England versus Zimbabwe. Got to keep Pope watch on because I think that he could have a bit to do with this Ashes series later in the summer.
We're going to have a lot of Pope watch and English watch as well on this podcast leading obviously into the Ashes at the back end. And then we'll start to ramp up that content once we get through the World Test Championship final. Rando, what do you got?
Just for me, one middle order batsman, Heinrich Klaassen, 105 not out off 39 balls. He hit his 100 off 37, which is the third fastest IPL ton of all time for the Sunrisers against Kolkata. There are other middle order batsmen, but they were wicket keepers, and I'll get to them in a sec.
We have featured pretty heavily on wicket keepers as well because there are some outstanding performances. So I'll throw to you now, Rando. Straight back at you.
Absolutely. Whim wham. Ishan Kishan, 94 not out off 48 for the Sunrisers against Bangalore. And then one of our own, Josh Inglis, 73 off 42 for Punjab against Mumbai.
Is Whim wham a new catchphrase here, Rando?
Yeah, it's my new one for, I just turned 21, so I thought I'd try something cool to stay hip.
Just throw it out and see if it sticks.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Lisa on The Simpsons when she throws out Woozle Wazzle.
Maybe took some inspiration from it, but you know what? Early Matt laughed, so that's a win.
Whim wham merchandise coming to a store near you soon. Maxi, wicket keepers, what do you got?
Well, nothing as flash as Rando, but I've had Kusal Pereira. We mentioned him. He was man of the match in that PSL final for his 62 not out off only 31 rocks. But he actually did it twice in a row. So he scored 61 off 35 in the qualifier to get them in the final in the first place. So Kusal Pereira, the Sri Lankan, had an amazing week.
Very nice, mate. Our middle order bats, including wicket keepers, Klaassen, Kishan, Pereira and Rousseau. What we've done as well, we've thrown Sikander Raza in as an all-rounder there to fill out our bowling slots a little bit because I said we are a bit light in the world of cricket this week for bowlers. Maxi, who have you found there?
Yeah, got a couple made. There, as you said, though, bulk flatties deluxe for the batters. So firstly, I had Salman Mirza in the PSL, 4 for 31 and 3 for 16. One of the stars for Peshwa Zalmi. Shadab Khan, one of my favourite players, 4 for 45. Shaheen Afridi, 3 for 3 for Lahore in the qualifier final. That was off 4 overs, mind you. Only went for 3 runs, included a maiden. So big Shaheen, left-handed, got one of the best heads of hair in the entire world cricket. He was fantastic. And then Shoaib Bashir, 6 for 81 for the England off-spinner against Zimbabwe. Another guy to keep your eyes on ahead of the Ashes this summer.
Yeah, probably due to the non-international factor, but I didn't include Shaheen in my 3-2-1 voting, but I feel a bit bad because that is unbelievable.
It's a good head of hair too.
Yeah, it's a great head of hair. Rando, what have you found?
Nothing too special over in IPL with the ball. It's all been overpowered by the bat, but Mitch Santner, 3 for 11 off 4 overs for Mumbai against Delhi was worth a shout from my end.
Very nice, mate. So joining Raza in our bowling ranks, Mirza, Afridi, Shaheen Afridi, that is, and Bashir. So our team of the week, Bennett, Duckett, Pope, Klaassen, Kishan, Pereira, Rousseau, Raza, Mirza, Afridi, and Bashir. Our 3-2-1 voting for the week. Maxi, who have you landed on?
Mate, I had to vibe a lot of this because comparing contextually a lot of the tournaments was tough. But I went number 1, Heinrich Klaassen. Love what he did. Good player. Kusal Pereira, number 2. Didn't have the highest scores, but just clutch PSL final stuff. He gets 2 votes from me. Number 3, Ollie Pope. Bit of a redemption story for the England number 3 in coming there and scoring a big one against Zimbabwe, a bit of a daddy ton. So Ollie Pope gets 3 votes from me. Fair
enough, mate. Klaassen, 3rd quickest IPL ton of all time, 1 vote. That'll do me. That's a bit of Aussie bias coming with the World Test Championship final coming up. Rando, what'd you do?
Great segue for Aussie bias. I'm going to take Cam Green. We haven't mentioned him, but he scored 2 tons in the last 2 weeks. I don't know if you guys have heard.
It was in county second division.
Are you serious? And you've got Ollie Pope there, and you're telling me Zimbabwe couldn't do better? Fuck, killing Big respect to our Zimbabwean listeners. We have a big contingent over there. Cam Green. Shout out to them. Cam Green, 1 point. Heinrich Klaassen, after that, 3rd fastest ton in IPL, deserves 2. And I'm going to give it to Brian Bennett up against a top-tier nation, stood tall, long lost grandson of Wayne Bennett. I don't know, but he definitely gets a 3. I mean, Ancestry.com. Let's find out.
That's
Not an
up.
ad. But yes, Byron Bennett, 3 points.
But if Ancestry.com do want to sponsor, shout out.
Please reach out.
Reach out. For myself, I've also gone Brian Bennett 1 vote, Ollie Pope 2 votes, although I can see why you flip those around a little bit, Rando. But for sheer weight of runs, it goes to Ollie Pope for me. And my 3 votes was to Heinrich Klaassen. Our 3-2-1 race for the most standings this week. 1 to Brian Bennett and Zimbabwe, who are on the board. Ollie Pope gets 2 for England and Klaassen 3 for South Africa. Our race for the most standings unchanged on top. England on 25, India on 25, Australia on 24. Then there's a gap down to South Africa, who move into 3rd on 13, New Zealand on 12. So going into the World Test Championships in the back end of the IPL, Australia versus India in the hunt. Exciting times. Right, boys, that'll do us for this week. As I said, we'll be back next week to look at the IPL final, the World Test Championship final. It's all heating up. I'll be recapping it the week after that. Fired up. Maxi, thank you, mate.
No, thank you, mate. Thanks to the listeners as well.
Rando, cheers.
Wham, thank you, ma'am. Pleasure as always, mate. Pleasure as always.
Oh, that's the best.
1 year older, none the wiser.
Righto, guys, thanks for tuning in.